NBA award predictions. I don't know why I didn't do this video before the season started, but we're still close enough to the start of it for me to do it and not to be like biased, you know what I'm saying, after seeing a lot of the teams play. So I'm gonna give my top 3 candidates, or the players that I think will be the 3 candidates at the end of the season, and then 1 or 2 wild cards that I have for each award. So I have Coach of the Year, 6th Man of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, and MVP. I'm not doing the all NBA teams and all rookie teams because that is way too hard to accurately estimate. So we're just sticking with the solo awards. I hope I got them all. This sounds like all of them. I'm gonna sound really stupid and look really stupid if there's one that I'm forgetting, but without further ado, let's get into it. Starting with Coach of the Year, we're going to build up to the MVP at the end of the vid. But starting with the Coach of the Year, the candidates I have are Steve Kerr, Steve Nash, Mike Malone, and the 2 wild cards I have are Billy Donovan and Doc Rivers. Now the wild cards are going to be coaches that I could see winning it on like a more exaggerated storyline or hypothetical, but I don't think are actually going to be the 3 candidates, but they're just wild cards that I could see winning it. Like, you know what wild card means. But anyway, as for Steve Kerr, the storylines for Coach of the Years tend to be either a team is just really dominant, head and shoulders above the rest of the league in the regular season, or a team has a drastic change from last season in terms of record and standing to this season, or the current season, or a team outperforms their personnel. Now for the Warriors, they didn't make the playoffs last year, and I think they have a chance to get a top tier seed. I'm talking top 3 seed. I think they have a good chance of doing so. And honestly, I think they'll do it. They're going to have to play a good portion of their season without Klay Thompson, so I think they have a lot of factors that work in the team's favor, and I'm also just really high on the Warriors personally. So that's why I think Steve Kerr will be a candidate. Steve Nash, I'm only saying Steve Nash because they're going to play a significant point or part of their season without Kyrie Irving. The team was built around a big 3, and 33% of that big 3 is going to be gone for maybe half the year, who knows. If they get like the number 2 seed or number 1 seed while playing half the season without Kyrie, I think Steve Nash has to be in the running for Coach of the Year. Then I have Mike Malone. This is kind of a running theme for all 3 of these coaches. Like, one of their marquee players is going to miss a good chunk of the season. For Mike Malone and the Denver Nuggets, that's going to be Jamal Murray. The Nuggets are going to play at least 60% of their games without Jamal Murray. If they get a top 3 seed, I think Mike Malone deserves some respect and consideration for Coach of the Year. As for my wild cards, one being Billy Donovan, if the Bulls kind of just overperform, I have them making the playoffs, getting around a 5 or 6 seed, but if they overperform and get a 2 seed, I think you got to look at Billy Donovan. And then for Doc Rivers, there's a lot depending on this one, depending on how long this Ben Simmons saga lasts, if he's traded, what is gotten for him in return. If the 76ers get like a 3 seed, I can definitely see Doc Rivers winning it. But who do I think will win it out of Steve Kerr, Nash, and Mike Malone? I'm taking Steve Kerr because, like I said, I'm really high on the Warriors, and I'm more confident in their scenario happening, them going from missing a playoffs to getting a top tier seed, because I'm really high on the Warriors. Honestly, I think I would have projected them to get the number 2 seed if I finished my preseason previews. On to 6th Man of the Year. We have Jordan Clarkson, Derrick Rose, Tyler Hero, and my wild card is Jordan Poole. As for Jordan Clarkson, I think he's going to be in the 6th Man of the Year conversation for the remainder of his prime. I think he's going to be in it year in and year out because he's really found himself in that role. He's going to be, I'm not comparing his game to Lou Williams, but I'm comparing the point of his career to where Lou Williams was at for the past 6 years. Always in the 6th Man of the Year conversation, fully entrenched in the 6th man role and known for that. I think that's what Jordan Clarkson's remainder of his career holds for him. As for Derrick Rose, he might be the best backup point guard in the league. That's just me talking shit off the top of my head. but off the top of my head, I think he might be it. He's going to get a lot of minutes because Tom Thibodeau, you know, that's his boy from Chicago and Minnesota. And Derrick Rose proved himself as to the caliber of player that he could be last year. So I think Tibbs will ride the hot hand at point guard between him and Kemba, whoever's on at that night. I think Derrick Rose will at minimum get 24 minutes a night, maybe not 24, maybe at minimum 23. And then if he's on and Kemba's struggling, then Derrick Rose will be the closing point guard that night. Then we have Tyler Hero, kind of had a down year in the regular season, and then really underperformed in the playoffs. I think he's motivated to prove the haters wrong. He's still coming off the bench because they want more of a catch and shoot guy and Duncan Robinson starting at the shooting guard. But I think Tyler Hero has motivation to prove some of the doubters wrong. Miami's going to spread the ball around, so it's not going to stick in the hands of the big three of Bam, Jimmy, and Kyle. So Tyler Hero is going to still get his touches as he has been doing so in the past 2 years in South Beach. And then for my wild card, Jordan Poole. I love the player that Jordan Poole is turning into. I only have him as a wild card because he's going to start quite a few games in Klay's absence, so I think that might just disqualify him from winning Sixth Man of the Year. As for who I think will actually win it, I'm taking Derrick Rose. The PT he's going to get and the trust he has amongst Tibbs and the team as one of the closers, there's going to be some media bias too because it's Derrick Rose at the end of the day. Everybody loves him. On to Defensive Player of the Year. My candidates are Giannis, Anthony Davis, Rudy Gobert, and my wild cards are Miles Turner and Mitchell Robinson. The Giannis one is simple. The Bucks defense should be top 5. Giannis is definitely not the sole reason for that, but he is the leader of that defense, and he is by far their most impact. Actually not by far because Jrue Holiday is there, but he is a very impactful defender as a help defender and a low post defender. We saw it on full display in the NBA Finals, and I think Giannis is going to win another Defensive Player of the Year in his career sometime. And I definitely think he's going to be in the conversation year in and year out. Anthony Davis, if he can carry the Lakers' old-ass defense, because I don't want to overreact or anything, but against the Warriors, their defense looked really old. Like LeBron did not want to close out on close-outable jump shots in the corner. Russell Westbrook was slow to rotations. That defense was looking old, and Anthony Davis is really gonna have to make his presence felt if this defense is gonna be good. So if AD can carry this Lakers old defense, he should be in the conversation. He also needs a redemption year after underperforming last season. He's also never won a Defensive Player of the Year. If the Lakers have a top 7 defensive rating and AD shows up, he should definitely be in the conversation. I definitely expect him to. And then Rudy Gobert, kind of a similar case to Giannis. He and Giannis are always going to be in the conversation just because they're that impactful defensively, and their team should always be around the top 5 in defensive rating. And I don't think this season will be any different for the Jazz and Gobert. For my wild cards, Miles Turner. Turner led the league in blocks, I think 2 times in his career, and I think he might do it again. The Pacers defense is so much better when he's on the floor. It's evident with the eye test and the on and off splits. He's only a wild card because the media might sleep on him because he plays in Indiana and Indiana might not make the playoffs. And then the wild card, Mitchell Robinson. The Knicks defense should still be elite. Mitch Rob is going to be a full-time starter this season, or at least he should be. And if he has a career year on the glass and with blocks and the Knicks make the playoffs around a 4 or 5 seed, I think Mitch can draw some consideration. As for my pick though, I'm going to take Giannis. It's a safe pick. It's a boring pick, I know. But I kind of just did process of elimination. I don't think the Lakers defense is going to be that good. I think they'll get it right. I think they'll be a top 3rd, but I don't think it will be good enough for AD to win it. And I also don't think the voters want to vote Gobert for another Defensive Player of the Year. because of just voter fatigue. So I think they're going to give it to Giannis because I think the Bucks are going to clamp up on defense. And I think Giannis is going to have kind of another breakout year on defense, which is kind of crazy to say. Now we move into Rookie of the Year. We got 2 more awards, one of them being Rookie of the Year. For my 3 actual candidates, I have Scotty Barnes, Jalen Green, and Cade Cunningham. And for my wild card candidate, it's going to be Josh Giddey. As for Scotty on Toronto, he's going to have a lot of opportunity, especially now with Pascal still rehabbing from his injury, I believe. He's in the starting lineup, and the Raptors are already showing trust in him already. We saw it in the preseason, we saw it in Game 1, how much the ball was in his hands against the Wizards, and he's showing that he's not shy to create on offense. He's not shy to take it to the hoop and try to finish over the defense. He's a self-proclaimed 6'9" point god. He's also a menace on the defensive end. He'll be flying around. So I think for that reason, he'll be like Steph in the stat sheet. He's gonna get it. He's gonna get some points. He's gonna play make. He's a good rebounder as well, an aggressive rebounder, and he's gonna stuff the stat sheet on the defensive end possibly. And these are tools and steps to winning Rookie of the Year. As for Jalen Green, he's just my favorite rookie in the draft class, and he's gonna get buckets. That's all I gotta say about that. And then for Cade Cunningham, he's the #1 pick. The ball's going to be in his hands. Only Jeremy Grant. He only has Jeremy Grant to somewhat defer to. And I say somewhat because I'm pretty sure Detroit wants him to take on the #1 role sooner rather than later. But he's still going to somewhat defer to Jeremy Grant because he established himself as a 20-point per game guy, as the go-to guy on the team last year. But he's gonna somewhat defer to Jeremy. But Cade will be the primary ball handler at most times when he's on the floor. Josh Giddey is my wild card because OKC is high on him. They took him higher in the draft than I thought he'd go. He's the secondary ball handler behind Shea, sometimes taking primary ball handling roles because he's going to be the point guard at the end of the day. If Dort, Bazley, Poku, etc. can hit open shots, then Giddey can have some gaudy rookie assist numbers. My official pick is going to be Cade Cunningham though. The ball will be in his hands so much. He's the face of the franchise. Only one person that he'll really somewhat defer to on offense. His playstyle is one that will rack up a lot of points and assists, and Detroit will be really dependent on him on the offensive end. So for that reason, I think he's going to put up the most numbers, and I think he'll win Rookie of the Year. Finally, last but certainly not least, we have the MVP race. The candidates I have are Giannis, KD, and Stephen Curry, and the wild cards I have are Joel Embiid and Luka Doncic. As for Giannis, he's going to put up crazy numbers year in and year out. This year will be no different. He's also a two-way player, probably the best two-way player on this roster right here, or in this polling, whatever these 5 players are. He's the best two-way player out of the 5, and the Bucks should be a top 2 seed. For that simple formula, he should be in the MVP conversation. I think he's going to be in the MVP conversation for like the next 8 years. Kind of the LeBron philosophy. He's just always going to be there. As for KD, the burden is going to be a bit higher on KD's shoulders with no Kyrie for however many games. Sure, he has James Harden too, so I'm kind of scared that they'd split votes. But I think KD is eager to assert himself as one of the league's greatest again, and he can do so this year. He definitely has the narrative on his side. And then there's Stephen Curry. I low-key feel like the Warriors might surprise people and get a 3 seed or maybe even a 2 seed that I've said earlier on. And Steph will definitely lead the charge. He put up MVP numbers last year. He's definitely still capable of it. He's playing a sizable portion of games without Klay. The Warriors will be returning to playoff basketball after missing out on it for the past 2 years, and I think they're going to be getting a top 3 seed at the very least. So that works in the favor of Steph's storyline, and we know the MVP is a storyline-driven award. So for my wild cards, one being Embiid, he also has narrative. He was second place in the award last year. The Benjamin Simmons drama, he'd have to carry this team to a top 3 seed. And he'd probably have to put up similar numbers to last year to do so. And then for Luka Doncic, similar to Giannis, he's going to be in the conversation for the award year in and year out. As long as the Mavs are in the playoff picture and in the top 4 seeding, he's always going to be in the conversation. Luka's going to put up a near triple-double for his entire career, season to season. And if the Mavs get a top 3 seed while being in Luka's backpack, then he could be on the road to winning his first MVP. But out of my 3 candidates, Giannis, KD, and Steph, my selection for the 2022 MVP winner is Stephen Curry. So let me do process of elimination again. I'm not confident that Luka can get the Mavs at 3 seed. I feel like Harden will take some votes away from KD. I think he's suffering from voter fatigue. And I also think the 76ers will be like the 5th or 6th seed, not high enough for Joel Embiid to win the award. And that leaves the door open for Stephen Curry to win it, because I think he's going to put up around 36 boards, 6 assists, ridiculously efficient. And I think he's going to lead the Warriors to a top 2 seed. I think the storyline the Warriors have of them returning from the playoff hiatus and me thinking that they're going to be a top 2 seed really works in the favor of Stephen Curry to win the MVP award.
My new whip is bulletproof. I got diamonds on my tooth.